The cover art for your new mixtape has you kind of done up in all these various different personalities or versions of yourself. How big a role would you say music has played in forging your own identity?
Oh my God, massive. I think, I think moving to London was a big one for me, and being able to be in a city where you can have so many different identities and you can really find out who you are. I think being able to release music and write about such personal things about myself has allowed me to accept myself a lot more, which is amazing. And having people listen to that and still like me, do you know what I mean? It's okay, cool, I can be myself, sort of thing.
It's really interesting what you're saying about self-acceptance there, because the first song that I heard from you was Buzzkill, about a year or so ago now. And in that you obviously have that line, flaws don't make you special, they just make you flawed.
Yeah.
Your music tends to deal with that, you put your own flaws into it. How does that change your relationship to them?
I think, I'm a very self-deprecative person. And I think that being able to admit to certain things and sort of take ownership of what you would consider to be your flaws is sort of you get to be in the driver's seat, you get to own them, you know what I mean? And you get to expose them, and for me it helps me to accept those things about myself more, the things that I don't like.
One of the other things that's cropped up in your music a few times, Dover Beach is the one that's coming to mind, where you have that line, we've got incompatible star signs. And I've seen you talk about kind of astrology and star signs in interviews quite a lot. What sort of value do you place on that kind of in your life?
Star signs?
Yeah.
I fucking hate star signs, man. You know what? It's crazy because I think I'm obviously a Leo, and I'm such a Leo to a T. But I don't know whether the star sign made me a Leo. If I became the star, I have no idea. But when you really like someone, you really fancy them, and you just want something to confirm that you guys are going to be together.
You looked at star signs.
Anyways, ended up looking it up, 1% compatibility. So I was like, fuck.
How accurate was it?
Pretty accurate. Yeah, pretty accurate. Didn't get a text back, so.
You've spoken as well about how it's kind of harder to write songs now, I think you've said. Why do you feel that is?
I think in the beginning of when you have the innocent naivety of just creating music for yourself, which is where I was when I wrote songs like Raw Thoughts and Buzzkill. I didn't write them for anyone else to hear them. I think as soon as you start trying to put yourself in other people's shoes and imagine what they're experiencing, it's harder to write something authentic to you. So that's been the struggle going into making the album now. It's been really trying to refine that spark of I'm going to write something that I think is good, you know what I mean? Instead of trying to write a hit song or something that's going to perform well.
So was Raw Thoughts one of the songs that kind of taught that for you? Was it something that catalyzed that realization?
Well, Raw Thoughts was actually the first song that I ever wrote that the earliest song that became a part of the Baby Queen catalog. So that was like written in 2017. So it has all that freedom of like, you know, I wasn't following any sort of structure. I just wrote it, not thinking this is going to be a big song or this is going to go on radio or this is, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really do miss that freeness a lot.
Kind of talking there about that revelation that you had, what's the most recent revelation that you've had in relation to your own music and creativity?
I think the real revelation that I've had after, you know, going into making this album and then trying to write music that is going to be a hit, or like, do you know what I mean? Trying to write music that's going to be your biggest song. I think what really struck me is that my favorite part about making Baby Queen music is that really specific satirical voice, you know, in Buzzkill. And I think that that's where I think the character shines through the best, you know. So my realization there has been to just push honesty and push what makes me unique in the thoughts that I have, as opposed to writing a song that anyone else could sing. I think it's better to write a song that like only Baby Queen can sing, and it would be really weird if anyone else tried to sing those words, you know what I mean?
How does that impact your life outside of music? You know, when you have that realization that you have a unique voice and you do have things that you can say?
Yeah, I mean...
Because not everyone has that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like... I'm just a fucking like weird person, do you know what I mean? So I think that part of like having like those thoughts and those having that outlook on life is like, obviously it fucking affects everything, do you know what I mean? Like I'm depressed and manic and like it's, you know, it's pretty nuts to live in here, but but yeah.
Does music help you harness it though?
Beg your pardon?
Does music help you harness it and kind of control it more?
Yeah, I think it gives you purpose, you know, it gives purpose to pain. I think that's one of my favorite things that it does, and it's like you can do bad things or like make mistakes, but if you can get like a beautiful piece of like art out of it, then it makes that experience worth it in some sort of capacity.
Yeah, that sounds like a great note to wrap it up on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
And you, yeah.